Hello everybody, and welcome to Hardcore Build Guides Season 9 Premium Builds. Now, something you're going to notice about this one is all of these builds in this video aren't free. They're not like crazy expensive like all maxed homes or anything. It's just like some of the premium stuff like Favoured Soul and some other things that you just can't get if you're a pure free-to-play player. So they're not like wicked expensive, and they might even be things you can unlock by earning favor and then using them. But yeah, this is for the premium builds for people that want to play things that aren't necessarily free to play. Also on top of that, because these are not free to play, I assume most of the people that are watching this video have like a tiny bit of understanding about the characters, so I'm not going to go over every single aspect about it, just kind of the most important and the highlights. Stuff like skills, I'm not really going to go over because this stuff is pretty straightforward. It's like put the skills in because, oh, this character is a trapper and I need disable device, you know what I mean? So a lot of that stuff should be straightforward, but I'm going to do my best to still cover all of the most important things as we go along. And as I said, any resources you need, links will be in the description. You want to get like the written version of this one, you want to read it all out, you will be able to find it on the DDO forums, so you don't have to download this program or even watch the whole video, but this is meant to be a supplementary guide with that. So, without further ado, let's talk about Dark Hunter Intquisitive. This is a Inquisitive type character that I have designed here. It is a Drow, which is free, but Favoured Soul is not, and it is integral to this build. This character uses intelligence to hit and damage. It's their most important stat. The reason you do this is, number one, you get access to high trapping ability. Your intelligence will scale your disable device and your search, and it scales your damage. Now, looking at the actual breakdown of classes, first, Dark Hunter gives you all the ranged feats, so you don't actually need to have the dexterity necessary for taking all the ranged feats, although you do want to have enough for precision, so that's why we do have that. Second, Favoured Soul. Why would you use Favoured Soul? And the answer is because Favoured Soul gains access to closed wounds from Beacon of Hope. You want to get this pretty much as soon as you can, which in this character will be level 5, so by the time you hit level 5, your character will be able to take closed wounds, and closed wounds on its own will be more than enough to keep your character fully alive through the entire leveling process. So that's important. That's the basic reason why you have Favoured Soul. Is this going to be the best endgame DPS? No. But it's going to be pretty good, and it will level up very easily thanks to closed wounds, because if you ever start taking damage, you can just start spamming this thing out really, really easily, and that's why you take Maximize Spell for closed wounds. The rogue levels is because you really don't have anything else to take. You don't really need like 15 levels of Ranger. Doesn't matter that much, and so the 3 rogue is nice. 1, because you get extra sneak attack dice, and 2, you can go into Assassin to pick up Toxic Affinity for more imbue dice, as a huge portion of Inquisitive is imbue damage. You turn on the imbue, you blast people, you get extra damage. So that's essentially why we take all of this stuff. Now, if you're wondering why 5 Favoured Soul levels, it's because the Beacon of Hope closed wounds scales up to caster level 5, so you do want to have 5 levels of Favoured Soul to make sure your character actually gets the most out of closed wounds. Other than that, it's pretty standard affair, taking all of the necessary ranged feats along the way, grabbing Insightful Reflexes for intelligence to saves, which is going to be important, improved criticals, precision, again, basic, straightforward stuff. And in Epics, this is standard ranged affair. The only thing I want to point out here is Holy Strike versus Perfect 2-weapon fighting. This depends on whether you want to be more defensive or offensive. If you want defense, you take Perfect 2-weapon fighting, which will give you more hit points. You get hit points from having combat style feats, so even though you're not 2-weapon fighting, you will still get extra hit points from having this feat. So this will give you a fair amount of additional hit points should you want that. Or if you want more offense, you take Holy Strike instead. Either way, it doesn't super matter. But whichever one you decide to go with, offense or defense, this is where you choose. The rest of the stuff is again straightforward. And then finally, again at the cap here, level 31, Deific Warding versus Legendary Aim, offense or defense. My recommendation to you is offense. Grab Holy Strike, grab Legendary Aim, but if you want the more defensive route, then go with 2-weapon fighting and Deific Warding to get more defense. As far as your enhancement tree goes, it's an Inquisitive, so it doesn't have anything super crazy that it's got going on here. The Inquisitive tree is good, and you want to take all of this stuff here, just a bunch of beautiful stuff. You're using intelligence to hit and damage, so you need to get this stuff out of the tree here. And then, of course, Assassin for the imbue dice, and then Deepwood Stalker for Sniper Shot, because Sniper Shot hits people really, really, really hard. So, how should you go through this? Number 1, Inquisitive, Dual Shooter, and Law on your side. Once you have all of this spent, I would also probably recommend taking Improved Law, because that's pretty good. That's your first, I believe, 7 points spent. Your dual shooting, probably actually 1 point in Conjure Bolts, so you have to summon stuff, so 8 points. Your dual shooting, you got extra damage on all your attacks. It's not too bad. Once you have that sorted, then you gotta get Intelligence to hit and damage. So you're gonna be going into Harper Agent to do this, and then once you have that, so that's 8 points, that's 12 points, that means you're level 5, that's when you have your favorite soul levels, you start investing into Beacon of Hope, you grab Closed Wounds, and then once you've got Closed Wounds, the world is your oyster. I would recommend probably grabbing the Assassin here to get the Toxic Affinity, which I believe you take the second by 10. Nope, you're not doing that. Just go into Inquisitive, grab the Assassin stuff later for the Toxic Affinity, but just put points into Inquisitive, get some more damage, get action boost skills, so you don't have to worry about like not having high enough skills to trap or disable or whatever. And then whenever you want later, grab Assassin and Deepwood Stalker. You want to make sure you have tier 5 up here by level 12, so that's 20 points here. Level 12, you have 48 enhancement points. So you're going to spend 20 points here, so probably like 12, 13. You're going to be able to get No Holds Barred, as well as Diplomatic Immunity and Jaded. All of these things are very powerful and increase your damage. But that's the gist of it, in terms of the point distribution. Now, when it comes to the Epic Destinies, your character is going to be using a combination of Shradi, Shadow Dancer, and Macro Tech. If you don't own Macro Tech, you can replace this with like Legendary Dreadnought or something, grabbing extra action boosts or what have you. I like Macro Tech because it gives you access to Rune Arms, which are very, very powerful, because not only do they do some extra damage or add damage onto your shots, you're not really going to use them as an actual offensive tool like firing the Rune Arm. It's mostly a stat stick, and that stat stick is really nice when it gives you access to set bonuses at the end game. So Shradi Champion, straightforward. You take all of the good stuff, taking all of the damage. Shradi Champion is one of the most straightforward trees in the game because this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, and this is bad. So you can take literally everything else, and you've spent all your points, which is fantastic. Shadow Dancer, you really need to take for Technician. You need to make sure you got the search spot, disable device, and open lock. It's very difficult to get your stats high enough without this. Lithe is good, extra double strike and double shot, sneak attack dice, all of this stuff is very powerful. And then as we talked about, Macro Tech, granting no fail reflex saves in a 1, which is insanely useful for a character with evasion, and Rune Arm use, which gives you a bunch of extra stats onto here. Now you will get a couple of spells, nothing super crazy. Your Dark Hunter spell, probably the best two are Ram's Might and Jump, and after that they really lose quality. Ram's Might is amazing because it gives you +2 damage, so that's why it's really nice. It's just +2 damage on all attacks, and Jump because it makes you jump higher so you can get over top of obstacles and other things. There is a spell here that is not showing up for some reason. I believe it's called like Natural Senses or something. It grants you an extra +10 to your Spot and Listen. It's very, very good. It's just not in the builder, so I put the Curative Admixture, but you're going to want to take that. And then as for Favored Soul, you just grab Bless and Night Shield are the main spells you need. Also Protection from Evil. Night Shield protects you from magic missiles, which is great. Protection from Evil stops you from being mind controlled by things like Command, which will affect your character. And Bless is just +3 to hit, which is pretty good. +3 to hit's not bad. The other spells don't really matter, so it's irrelevant. Although you will actually have enough energy resistance to actually cast +30 to any elemental resistance you want, which will be kind of nice with the bit of Favored Soul that you have. Now, when it comes to equipment and how you put your character together, the setup that I have here for endgame, we got the Wall Watch set with the Forbidden Knowledge from Vecna with 3-piece Winter. This is where the Necronomicon comes in, which is nice because it fills up that 3-piece. If you don't want to use a Necronomicon, you could use another Rune Arm and just go with 2-piece of Winter. But at the end of the day, your character should be pretty good for endgame, looking at like 1347 hit points, which is not too bad for a ranged character. Remember, I chose the offensive options. You could decide to peel it back with 157 PRR. Now your magic resistance rating might look pretty bad because you really only have one item giving you magic resistance rating, but remember 2 things. Number 1, you have no fail reflex saves, so you're going to make every save and take no AoE damage. And number 2, if you look closely at this build, you'll notice this item, the 2-headed platinum piece. This is one of the best items you can get for hardcore. It has Spell Absorb 50, and it is a trinket that comes from Saltmarsh. It's an artifact, which means it drops from any chest. So you can get this completely safe by just going around and doing the Explorer Zone in Saltmarsh, killing the rare monsters, and get yourself a 2-headed platinum piece very, very easily with absolutely no risk, and this gives you Spell Absorb 50. With 50 Spell Absorb and Evasion, there's pretty much no magic effects that are going to hit you in the first place, so you don't really have to worry about magic resistance rating that much, and it's all just physical resistance rating, dodge, and hit points. So keep that in mind. Now, one problem is with this, you're going to notice, Disable Device 79 and Search 87 is not high enough, but that's okay. Just get yourself... Oh, do I not have the set here? Did I not set it up? Nope, I didn't set it up. I had the backup set. I tried to do like a 4-piece winter, and I just wasn't happy with it. So, just get yourself an item that gives you bonus to search, disable, and all that other stuff. You can replace this item with the goggles. What do you call them? The experimenter goggles, I believe, which gives 20 search, spot, disable device, open lock, which is pretty good. And then you can also grab yourself the helmet that comes out of the quest, the Age of Rage, the Tiara of Madness, which also gives exceptional astute 10. Those two things give plus 30 to all of these, and then plus 30 means disable device works every time and search works every time, and it's an easy swap. This is also without any ship buffs, without greater heroism, and without anyone around to buff you. If you have a bard and greater heroism or something, and ship buffs, then you're probably only going to need, and also tomes, I didn't put tomes in here either. You might earn the 1750 tome or even the 5000 favor tome. Then it'll make it a little bit easier to do traps at the end game. You just need to make sure your search is, I believe it's 108, and your disabled device is 102, I think, to be able to hit everything. So that's all you really need to hit, and that's not too far off with just a plus 20 item, so you're almost there. And that's pretty much everything you need to know about Dark Hunter Intquisitive. Nothing super crazy. Pretty straightforward, just dual shooting, doing a bunch of damage, and it should be very good for your first experience through the hardcore league if you want to play a trapper. Now let's just say you want to play a trapper, but you want to play a melee, because melee is cool. Well, I got you covered here with Shadar-kai. Shadar-kai is insane for hardcore league because the spike chain attack is amazing. It's an area of effect that hits all monsters around you in a huge 360 cone. It does like a jillion damage, and it's very, very, very good. It's the solve for cleave. You don't have to worry about hitting lots of targets. And it gets even better the higher level you get. Now this is an Eldritch Knight designed to be a melee, also a trapper, also intelligence-based, and is designed to use both 2 levels of rogue and 18 levels of wizard. Now you'll notice this is a 32-point build. That's because Shadar-kai is an iconic. It starts at 32. It is not a 28-point. Iconics are only 32. So if you don't own 32-point builds, don't worry about it. As long as you own Shadar-kai, you are a 32-point build. I don't know why I have guild buffs toggled on. I think it's because I was showing something off on stream. I don't know. Anywho, this is a single weapon fighter. The main reason is because the spike chain attack only uses your main hand weapon. It doesn't use your offhand. So as a result, you just use single weapon fighting because it beefs up the main hand, which then gives you more damage on the spiked chain attack, which I cannot stress enough how powerful that effect is. You grab all the important meta magics, quicken, extend, regular, pale mastery, Eldritch Knight sort of stuff, and a lot of the defensive, offensive feats. You're also going to grab enchantment focus as well with some of your wizard feats, just so that way you can do a little bit of enchanting during the leveling process, because it's actually not too bad when we start looking at the DCs as we go on later. Grabbing all of the single weapon fighting, perfect single weapon fighting, combat style feats, and everything else. Master of the Dead, spell power negative, emboldened spell, arcane warrior, epic toughness, sign of the Feywild, and harbinger of chaos. Now you might look at epic toughness and be like, wait a minute, how are you doing this? This build assumes you're going to be getting 1750 favor during the leveling process. Pretty much everybody's getting 1750 favor, so every build will get a +2 tome, and so in this build, it's actually kind of built into it. You get your +2 tome, and you take the +2 here, you grab Constitution at 28, which then lets you take Epic Toughness at 21, and then you can also take Legendary Toughness at 31. Now you have to decide, do I want Harbinger of Chaos for more damage, or do I want Legendary Toughness for 100 hit points? You make the decision on your own. This build does not include the Legendary Toughness, but if you wanted to, you could include that instead. Sign of the Feywild, again, might seem weird. You're like a Palemaster, so wouldn't you want Sign of the Shadowfell? The main reason you go with Feywild is, number one, it gives you enchantment DCs, which you need. Number two, it gives you imbue dice. And number three, the Sign of the Shadowfell just sucks. It gives necromancy DCs, which you don't need. It doesn't give any imbue dice. It gives it so you heal when you hit monsters, except the amount of healing is, it has like a cooldown of 1 second, and it doesn't scale with anything. So again, kind of bad. So you just go with Sign of the Feywild because it is a much better ability. Now, as far as we go for wizard spells, these are the essential spells. So these are the ones I would say you definitely want to take for sure, going through the lines. Now, while you're leveling, you can take damage spells or any other spells you deem as necessary, but these are the ones that I would say you're going to use the most often during the leveling process. Stuff like Night Shield for defense, Jump for getting over things, Expeditious Retreat for going fast, Sonic Blast for breaking lots of boxes for bonus XP, Blur for not getting hit, Displacement, Haste, and Rage because these spells are great buffs, Dimension Door for everything, it's like one of the best spells in the whole game, Death Aura and Negative Energy Burst for healing yourself, Fire Shield because taking less damage from fire is great, Break enchantment, which is useful all over the place for getting rid of clouds. Have you ever found a cloud kill on the ground and you don't want to stand in it? Break enchantment and it disappears. Globe Invulnerability is good for that one quest in Feywild, Make Believe, against the final boss fight. Greater Heroism is one of the best buffs in DDO, and the list goes on, and this is just like damage stuff. Mass-Sold Monster is one of the big ones. You're going to want to be casting this one. I know the save DC might look low at enchantment 75, but a lot of monsters have surprisingly low will saves, so this will work fairly often. Even when you're doing Reaper Vor, even when you're at endgame, especially in older content, your Ravenloft, your Grim and Barret, things like that, it will still land. So it's not a whole wash right there. Now, as far as the enhancements go, Eldritch Knight, Palemaster, a little bit of Assassin for that Imbued Ice. You're going to see this a lot, by the way, if you keep watching stuff. You're going to see this all over the place. And then, of course, Harper Agent for the intelligence to hit and damage. So how do you spend your points here? Well, one of the most important things is Harper Agent. You need to get that intelligence to hit and damage literally as soon as you can, or else your character can't do anything. So 1 point in Eldritch Knight for Eldritch Strike, so that way you can hit monsters all around you in an AoE, and then Harper Agent. Now you're going to notice that because your strength starts at an 8, the first couple of levels are kind of brutal, because until you get intelligence to hit and damage, which this is 12 points by the way, so that's going to cost you, what, 13 points or something like that? Yeah, it's going to be really hard to get this until level 3, which is a little unfortunate. Actually moving into level 4, I guess. So, group. Please group. You can do this solo. All you have to do is grab a hireling and just kind of follow your hireling around. If you want to grab one of the Warforged hirelings and just pump heals into them, make sure you take a repair spell at the beginning and just pump heals into them. You'll have no problem. It'll be a little bit slower, sure, but it's not a huge deal. Or just join a group. Everything is cool. Get to level 4, and then you'll have Intelligence Hit and Damage, Eldritch Knight, and you can start working your way up the Eldritch Knight tree. The question is, when do you go undead? In my opinion, is at Wizard 7. So I wouldn't go undead before Wizard 7, I would go undead later. So what I would do is I would go Harper, or 1 point in Eldritch Knight, fill out Harper Agent, back into Eldritch Knight for Spell Sword. This takes you to level 5, then Assassin for the 3 Imbue dice. And the reason why you want to do Assassin for the 3 Imbue dice is this is the most damage you can get in the shortest amount of time. So you'll have this by level 6-ish, I think 6 or 7, and now your character will have 4 Imbue dice per hit, which is a lot more damage, and you'll start picking up more as you level up, and then kind of fill out the Eldritch Knight tree. However, once you get the ability to turn undead, again, usually around Wizard level 7 or Wizard level 9, so that's character level 9 or character level 11, that's when you want to go Palemaster, and then kind of fill out the rest of the Eldritch Knight tree, and that would be the way I would do that. As far as the Epic Destinies go, very standard Eldritch Knight stuff. Fate Singer is insane for Eldritch Knights. Not only do you get Cut the Strings, which is one of your best abilities, and it's going to be the most useful. This ability is crazy if you've never used it. But also, the Sword Sings, scales off melee power and spell power. Very, very powerful, adds a lot of damage, and it stuns if you hit somebody with it. And then Blade of Discord also has a stun on it, and it stuns for a long time, and it's a great cleave. The best part about this is your character with Blade of Discord has a lot of AoE. You have the Spiked Chain Attack, you have the Eldritch Strike, which is Frontal Cleave, Eldritch Tempest from Eldritch Knight as well, and Blade of Discord. 4 separate cleave attacks, so you are a cleaving beast, just ripping monsters apart that try to get in your way. Primal Avatar here is pretty good because Shardstorm is great, giving you a lot of defense, giving both offense in the form of like the little daggers that come out, but also Thorn, this section here at its core, making it so you gain temporary hit points based on your health from Shardstorm. Additionally, the Mantle is super strong, and so you're going to want to take this because it's very good. And then lastly, Macrotech. You're going to see Macrotech show up a lot. It's really good for a low splash. And Tonkwin's Lightning Hammer is fantastic because your character has both... the alternates. I forgot to mention this. This is deciding... You can either take Maximize earlier or Extend. I'm actually just going to swap this to Extend because I think how do we get rid of this? I'm just going to swap this to Extend instead. I think it's just a little bit smoother. But you can either decide to take Maximize if you want or not. I would recommend the Maximize, but you don't necessarily have to. If you want to just get more mana, you can do that. But with Quicken and Maximize, the actual amount of damage you get out of both Shardstorm for free and then Tonkwin's for free, because neither of these effects have saves, a lot of extra damage you're going to be able to do in an AoE. Very, very good. And this doesn't have a maximum cast level either, so this will go all the way up to 38, which is very, very, very nice. Now, as far as your character's equipment go, this gear set is pretty good. It'll work well for you for the end game. It's a very powerful item set. The only item that matters is this one. If you want to change anything else about the build, you can change your item set, do whatever you want, but do not get rid of the Gold Curse Dagger. This item has the legendary Gold Curse on it. If you critically hit an enemy, they have to make a Fortitude save or they become paralyzed by gold. This works on Reapers, it works on everything. The Gold Curse Dagger is the bread and butter of endgame Reapers on Hardcore League. It's so good, it's insane. So what you do is you walk into a room full of monsters, you do Spiked Chain Attack. Spiked Chain Attack is increased critical threat range. If everything isn't turned to gold, you go Eldritch Tempest, which has plus, I think it's 10 critical threat range. If everything isn't turned, everything should be turned to gold at that point, and then you just fight all the monsters down that cannot fight you. This item is crazy for hardcore. The Gold Curse Dagger is very, very good on the regular servers, but you generally don't need it as much because you're not worried about the chance of death, and on R10 it's harder to land. But on R4, it basically works on everything all the time. It's crazy. So the rest of the gear set is quite powerful. This is the one you need. Get the Gold Curse Dagger. Oh my god, get the Gold Curse Dagger. As far as equipment to go as you level up, things that give you attack and damage, so Double Strike, Seeker. Do I have another item in here that shows that like accuracy is a good one? Things that give you defense, so stuff like Constitution, Health, Physical Resistance Rating, Magical Resistance Rating. You want Intelligence, you want Spell Power. Look for Potency items, which are pretty good. Look for items that boost the specific spell powers. Stuff like the Ring of Fall's Decay from Feywild, the Heroic and the Epic version are both great because they give you Acid Spell Power, which is what your Imbue is most likely going to be, as well as Negative Spell Power, which is great for that. And then also the Deep Promise Onyx, because look at all the negative amplification. It's very nice, leaving your character with 1800 hit points, a little over 100 PRR, which might sound low, but you have dodge and displacement, which really helps out there. And on top of that, 271 negative amplification, so you heal for a lot. You heal a lot on yourself. Now, I want to give you a pro tip, something not everybody knows. This is called the double dip on the Dark Hallow. What you do is you get Dark Hallow negative amplification, you put it in both your artifact and your weapon, and for 2 pieces, this is 20 negative amp, this is 20 negative amp, and the 2 set is 20 negative amp, so that's 60 negative amplification for 2 filigrees. I cannot recommend that enough. Every single person who is playing any type of Palemaster should do that on Hardcore League. It's way too good. Even off Hardcore League, honestly, it's 60 amplification for health on 2 filigrees. Way too good. I can't recommend it enough. It's very, very powerful. This character is super good. This is not just a character that's good, this is also a character of a build I ran with somebody from last hardcore season who was very successful. So this build does work. They got their 400,000 Reaper XP, and if you want to do that, you can do it with this build as well. Now, do you like providing utility to your party, increasing the health of others, giving them defenses, buffs, and helping them succeed? Yeah, me neither. Which is why Barbarian is amazing. Gets to skip all of that and hit the monsters and do nothing else. This is a high DPS Barbarian build designed for dealing good single target and area of effect damage. The way that it works is you're going single weapon fighting Barbarian using Khopesh for the leveling process. So you take Khopesh proficiency at level 3 and you run Khopesh up the entire way. However, once you get to level 31 and you get two-handed specialty, you're going to swap out Khopesh for Dwarven War Axe using the feat exchange at Fred. And now you have a single weapon fighter Barbarian that not only has all the single weapon fighting feats, but also all of the two-handed fighting bonuses from using the Dwarven War Axe. This character is also a Razorclaw shifter, so it should be set to 32-point build, so you get to start with 32 points if you don't own the 32-point build. If you happen to own the 32-point build and you don't want to play a Razorclaw shifter, you can also do this as a half-orc if you don't like the shifter for some reason, but I still recommend the shifter, and we'll talk about why later. This is the standard single weapon fighting affair. Single weapon fighting, improved critical, greater offhand versatility. This is all straightforward and very, very powerful. You might be wondering, what's up with the Warlock and the Favoured Soul? And the answer is one Warlock gives you access to Eldritch Aura from the Enlightened Spirit tree. Enlightened Spirit Eldritch Aura allows you to proc Arcane Warrior. What happens is Arcane Warrior, whenever you hit somebody with a spell, you gain melee power. Well, the aura from the Warlock is constantly pulsing out from your feet and counts as a spell. So every time it hits somebody, you get 1 stack of Arcane Warrior. The nice thing is, it's passive. So what this means is if you have 1 level of Warlock and Arcane Warrior, this feat, it reads as 20 melee power. And 20 melee power is insane for a feat, so you definitely want to take that. And then 1 Favoured Soul is to get access to the Trance from War Soul. War Soul gives you access to Divine Will, so you can add your Wisdom onto your damage, basically. And why would you want to do that? Because it's really, really good. It's very, very good. And so as a result, is that better than using the capstone from Frenzy Berserker Storm's Eye? The answer is yes. It's way better than the capstone from Frenzy Berserker and Storm's Eye, which is why we're doing this. So, Because these things only give bonuses basically in epics or when you have stats, you wait until the end because they don't give you anything during pretty much the entire leveling process. You play a Barbarian, you hit monsters, it's all good. Once you get into epics, again, you just take standard Barbarian feats. The only difference is you take Arcane Warrior instead of another feat, and then Overwhelming Critical, Perfect two-handed fighting, or Perfect single weapon fighting, Epic Barbarian damage reduction, Double Strike, Epic damage reduction, Epic Fortitude, and then Sign of the Ethereal Plane. This one might seem kind of strange, but the sneak attack dice scales better with your single target stuff. If you want and you don't want to use this, you're also able to use Sign of Arborea instead, whichever you want. Both are pretty good. I go with Ethereal Plane generally, but Arborea is also perfectly fine if you don't really care to for the sneak attack dice, where you think you're never going to be able to sneak attack stuff, which you will be able to do fairly often here. Now for spells, oops, there are no spells except for the Warlock and Favoured Soul. So what do you take? Night Shield, protects you from Night Shield, or from Magic Missile, and Shield, who also protects you from Magic Missile. Technically, Shield actually makes you take less damage from grazing hits. I don't know if monsters grazing hit you, but it does technically protect you from that, if it did. Now, let's take a look at the actual enhancements. So, this character is a Frenzy Berserker. Because Frenzy Berserker hits really hard, you get access to Blood Tribute, which is the bread and butter of Barbarian on Hardcore, allowing you to pretty much never die, which is fantastic. Every time you press this button, you lose 1 Constitution, but you gain 150 temporary hit points for a minute. Now, this means that pretty much until level 10, you can't die as long as you press this button regularly, because your character starts with a 16 Constitution. That means you can press this button 15 times. So, in 15 times, 150 hit points, that's 2,250 hit points, I believe. Unless I'm getting my math wrong, which I don't think I am. No, I'm not. 2,225 hit points. Or 2,250 hit points. You shouldn't take that much damage in an entire quest. So as a result, you'll be able to use Blood Tribute really easily to keep yourself alive. On top of that, you also get access to Cracking Attack, which gives you a huge amount of extra damage, and then the tier 5 up here, +2 critical multiplier, and Raging Blows for the +1W and extra hit points, which is nice. However, that's not where it ends. Your character also uses Vistani Knife Fighter, because you get access to Haste Boost, the best damage thing in the game. Every damage character wants to have this, and that's fantastic. Frenzy Berserker also gives you extra action boost, which is really, really, really good. And then moving up Vistani, you spend a lot of points because that's a lot of defense, that's a lot of defense, that's a lot of defense. You're picking up damage like Double Strike, Quick Draw, Haste Boost, other things, and then of course Double Strike, and you get I don't know why this has the dual wielding effect on here if you're not using the daggers, but just going up for the extra 5% Double Strike because you have nothing else you want to take. I'm missing 2 points. I misspend points somewhere. You probably have 2 free points. I'm not sure why that was here. That's odd. I must have made a mistake, which is par for the course. I kind of did this under horrible duress. But anyways, it's not a dagger build, so I don't know why this was up here, but still. You still want the celerity because the Double Strike is pretty good on Barbarian. I guess you have some free points, you can put them wherever you want, but that's not the point. How do you put your points into this character, and also why are you a shifter? The reason why you're a shifter is because Magic Fang is really, really good. What this does is it gives you +1 to hit and damage at level 1, and then every 5 levels after that, it's another +1 to hit and damage. Now, what that means is that this, I'm just going to put that back here for a second. I'll change that later. What this means is that your character will get, by the time you're level 32, +8 to hit and damage on Magic Fang. That's pretty good. There's pretty much nothing as good as +8 to hit and damage, and as a Barbarian, you need all the hit chance you can get. So Magic Fang is fantastic, and that +8 to hit and damage is really nice. On top of that, you also get Regenerating Shift, which means your character can really never run out of rages, which is very, very good. So definitely something I would keep in mind on Razorclaw Shifter, getting all those extra rages. So how do you spend the points on this build? Well, basically, you don't have access to the War Soul tree, you don't have access to the Light and Spirit for the 1 point in Eldritch Aura, so you're going to go into Frenzy Berserker first and get Blood Tribute as soon as you physically can. Once you have Blood Tribute, my recommendation is come up here and grab Blood Trail for Supreme Cleave. That way you can press this every 3 seconds and make sure you have Blood Trail so it doesn't cost any hit points. You don't want to be spending hit points on this, so you want to get your points spent in here. Once you have all of this spent, you can kind of ignore Cracking Attack for now. You just want to get up this way as fast as you can. Then you want to work your way in Vistani and come up here towards Haste Boost. You want to get that Haste Boost ASAP. And once you have the Haste Boost and also extra action boost, you can spam this all the time. Then keep going up Frenzy Berserker, finish off the tree, and then move your way into Ravager, finish off some of the tree, Razorclaw Shifter, finish off some of the tree, and then move your way back into Vistani, finish off the tree, War Soul, and then Light and Spirit last, getting 1 point just in there for that aura. Where should this go? Final video will have a location for this right now. My brain, you can just grab some extra hit points. It's good enough for me. just go ahead and do that. Now, as far as Epic Destinies go, Fear of the Wild should be a surprise to kind of nobody because it's very, very good, grabbing access to Primal Scream and a bunch of really good Barbarian stuff. However, one thing that might be a bit of a surprise is my recommendation for Fatesinger and Blade of Discord. Because your character has a trance, you're actually capable of stunning things with Blade of Discord, and the Sword Sings adds a lot of extra intermittent damage. The thing about Adrenaline is it's really good when you're hitting with a big two-handed weapon, but you don't need it as much with a single weapon fighting because you're just not hitting as hard in this case. And so that's why we go with the Fatesinger, grabbing the Sword Sings and the Blade of Discord. This stuns on crit, this stuns all the time, and your DCs on this will be good enough to stun monsters as you're going through this, so that's one of the reasons I recommend it. And Legendary Dreadnought just fits in between, granting you both extra tactics DCs, which is nice for the Blade of Discord, extra action boosts, and double strike, which is good. Double strike here, double strike here, double strike here. The thing that Barbarian lacks the most is double strike, and being able to pick up at a lot of different sources is very, very, very nice. You do grab from Fear of the Wild Unbridled Fury, and this is nice because every 5 seconds while you press this, not only do you heal a lot, you also gain Adrenaline every 5 seconds. Well, you do take Furious Force, which increases the damage of your Adrenaline, which will count towards this Adrenaline. So even though you don't take the effect, because you just take this for plus strength while raging, you will be able to use this during your epic moment. So when you're fighting big boss fights or whatever, you gain a lot of extra damage. So it's quite good, and I would definitely recommend that. As far as the itemization goes, characters like fairly straightforward in something like this. So you're going to go ahead and grab the Devil's Infernal Dance from the Vecna set because it is quite good, giving you all of the damage stats you could possibly want. You're going to make sure you have all of the strengths as well. Precision lenses, dinosaur bone ring, all that. You will be crafting a dinosaur bone ring and weapon. Dinosaur bone is just kind of the best thing you can get on Hardcore League. It is what it is. They're so powerful and they're so good. As well as using some winter items, as well as the Forbidden Knowledge set, getting some extra offensive and defensive stats. That's pretty much the combination here. It's a bunch of really straightforward stuff, fitting in, getting all the extra stats you need. Your character is also really defensive, landing with 233 physical resistance rating, as well as 2774 hit points. Your character does not go down easily, so you'll be able to just keep hitting there, standing in front of people, and beating people up. Because remember, Barbarian also has access to one of the best cooldowns in DDO, Improved Uncanny Dodge, giving you an extra, 50 dodge that goes above your cap, so that would count as having 66 dodge total for 20 seconds every 2 minutes. And that is something that you can use constantly, which I would highly, highly recommend. So getting used to that, practicing that will be good. So what stats do you need on Barbarian? Strength, and in Epic's Wisdom, but for the most part leveling. Strength, things that add to physical damage, like Deadly, Accuracy Seeker, and Deception, and then the defenses, Constitution, Sheltering, maybe saving throws. That's about it. This character is going to do a lot of damage at endgame. It'll do a lot of damage while leveling. And as long as you take the cleave as soon as you can, you'll also have a reasonable amount of AoE as well. But once you get that two-handed specialty and you swap from Khopesh into Dwarven War Axe, now you have strike through on every attack on top of your cleave. I tell you what, it's going to hit pretty dang hard, and you'll be very satisfied with single weapon fighter Shifter Barbarian. And now we have an oldie but a goldie, the Vistani Favored Soul Monk. This is a classic build. With the release of Ravenloft and the Vistani Knife Fighter, this is a build people have been playing all the way since ancient times. This build has been absolutely fantastic, knocked it out of the park, and I gotta say I'm happy to reprise it and bring it back, as it's just as powerful as it was before. Being a melee character that features 2,000 hit points, almost 200 PRR, 34 dodge all the time, and as a full capable healer, both for both itself and its entire team. So, how does it work? Basically, you're a favored soul, which means you only need wisdom to be able to cast your spells. You're an Aasimar, which is fantastic because Aasimar gain bonuses based on their wisdom, which is nice. You got Dex for 2-weapon fighting, you got Constitution for health, and then the little bit of Monk gives you access to the Monk stances, which makes you way more tanky, way more defensive, and also gives you some extra feats here as well. So, 2-weapon fighting is important. You also want to make sure you take Battle of Knowledge. This is a Vistani, so you're taking Blood of Walls. So you get daggers as your favorite weapon, as you are a favored dagger user. You also grab Maximize and Quicken. The reason for Maximize is the same reason we talked about before with the other favored soul build. As it turns out, Beacon of Hope Close Wounds is really, really, really good. This ability alone will allow you to heal through the entire process. Now, as a favored soul, you will also get access to heal and the other better heal spells, but as a melee, you don't quite have the mana quotient for this. But Close Wounds is like instantaneous. So you can pop this in between regular hits. So you can like hit, Close Wounds, hit, Close Wounds. Like it goes off like this. It's super fast. And also it costs 2 spell points. So when you're leveling, you won't have as many spell points as like a full healer. So it'll be nice to actually have something that costs basically nothing, which is pretty good. Other than that, it's pretty standard, straightforward stuff. All the 2-weapon fighting feats, all of that good stuff. And then, of course, we have Adeptive Forms here as well, which is very, very powerful. And then greater 2-weapon fighting. You take the Adept, Master, and Grandmaster of Forms, which improve the power of your monk stances, making it so you get even more dodge, even more wisdom, even more bonuses to saving throws. Because, yeah, saving throws, 81, 80, 91. Your character is not going to be getting hit by anything, so don't worry about this. You're going to be able to be resistant to pretty much everything. And it's no slouch in the damage department, hitting incredibly hard, because this character uses the Vistani Knife Fighter tree, which just does 1 billion damage. It's kind of like a sick cheat code to getting through Hardcore League is using Vistani Knife Fighter. Also, if you want to juice up this character just a smidgen more, you can also do this build, but instead of doing it as an Aasimar, you can do it as a Shadar-kai and have the spiked chain attack on top of that, which would be even funnier. But that one requires the use of a Heart of Wood, so that's why I didn't recommend it here, but you could use a +1 Heart of Wood and do that if you wanted. However, the Aasimar plays 2 roles, not only having the special Aasimar Healing Hands, which allows you to heal people based on your wisdom, which is nice because it's a big lump chunk, but also getting access to Protector, which gives you 10 determination bonus to physical resistance rating, magical resistance rating, and hit points. Pretty good. You gotta like that. So other than that, feats pretty bog standard, nothing super crazy. You take Sign of the Astral Plane because it's good to be centered with all of your tactical feats and DCs and all this and all the extra bonuses you get while being centered. And Elusive Target is nice because you improve the power of it with your Grandmaster of Flowers abilities, which you will have by the time you get to level 31. But the rest of the stuff is pretty straightforward. As far as the spells go, I will say on the skills, I did put the skills in. I did not put the skills in. They're in the file there. But anyway, you're just going to need concentration. After that, the rest of it's a wash. Ha ha ha, I totally put the skills in. Well, they're on the builder anyway on the website, so don't worry about it. Anyways, favorite soul spells that you actually need. We're talking about Bless is important, Night Shield's important, Protection from Evil, stuff like that. You're taking every buff spell you can get your hands on. Resist Energy, Magic Circle against Evil, Prayer's really good, Freedom of Movement's really good, Death Ward, one of the best spells in Hardcore, Spell Resistance, True Seeing. If it's a defensive spell, you want to take it. Your 8th level spells, grab Holy Aura and Death Ward Mass, and then I recommend Celestial Bombardment. The reason is, True Resurrection doesn't work, it's hardcore. Implosion's never going to land, you have no DCs. Heal Mass is one of the slowest spells in the universe. And Celestial Bombardment, at least if monsters don't have evasion, it just hits really hard and does a lot of damage. So it's actually a lot better than you would otherwise think. So nothing super crazy there. Until you get Close Wounds, which you're probably not going to right away, you will want a cure spell. So I do highly recommend you take Cure Wounds early, and then you can take these other cure spells if you want. You won't need them as much, but you definitely want to take Cure Wounds early, just so you have something to use until you get access to Close Wounds. When do you get access to Close Wounds? Well, really as early as you want, although my recommendation to you is you want to get Deadly Blades soon. Deadly Blades allows you to be centered while using daggers. Until you have this, your character won't count as being centered, which means you can't use anything Monk, and you take Monk at level 3. You can get this at level 3, so that's why you want to go up the Vistani tree, grab all your good Vistani stuff, Rapid Attack, grab the Haste Boost, and then get Deadly Blades once you can. And then once you have Deadly Blades, you have that all set up, then Beacon of Hope into Closed Wounds, and then once you have Beacon of Hope and Closed Wounds, I would recommend grabbing Divine Will, because Divine Will is super duper good, and also grabbing Resilience of Battle, because Resilience of Battle gives you damage reduction 5, which might not sound like a lot, but in the early game, monsters don't do a lot of damage, so reducing that damage by 5 means a lot of monsters will get their damage reduced by 50% or more, which is absolutely massive. So, recap. Their first 12 points get Deadly Blades. Then the next 8 points max out Closed Wounds, that's 20 points. And then the next 6 points go into War Soul, Resilience of Battle, that's 26 points. After that, fill out Vistani. After that, fill out Aasimar. After that, fill out War Soul, and the 1 point in Henshin Mystic is a nice bonus. You can use the point in Henshin Mystic if you want earlier, but honestly, the 3 melee power, PRR, I guess you can do this whenever you want. But the rest of the order makes pretty much good sense to me. Now let's look at the epic destinies. This character is a Grandmaster Flowers, as I talked about. using everything is nothing here. It's one of the big capstone abilities. You're also using Drifting Lotus, which hits incredibly hard, does a bunch of damage, very, very powerful, and it stuns people. What a fantastic ability. So you will be doing that here. Now, this ability was recently nerfed. It used to be a lot better. But don't worry about it, because the animation that was on this ability has erroneously been put on Rapid Attack, which for whatever reason is supposed to hit one target and is right now a Frontal Cleave. Why is this a Frontal Cleave? I don't know. I can't even begin to explain why this is a Frontal Cleave. It's a triple hit Frontal Cleave. I don't get it either. So this attack will just carry you through the whole game anyway. Oh yeah, due to a bug, this attack is insane. It will carry you through the entire game. I don't know. But this ability is even better, and it's very, very good, although it did get nerfed a little bit. Picking up all the good stuff out of Grandmaster Flowers, and then grabbing, of course, the everything in Tier 5 Grandmaster Flowers, since it's all good. Legendary Dreadnought is here because you want Double Strike, because Double Strike is nice, as well as some extra melee accoutrement. And then, oh my god, is that Macrotech? It is Macrotech in another build, using You Cannot Fail Reflex Saves on a Natural 1. Not being able to fail Reflex Saves on a Natural 1 is just super, super nice. Not failing Fortitude Saves on a 1 is also pretty good, however. So instead of Macrotech, you could also consider going into Draconic Incarnation and grabbing Dragonhide, so you can also no longer fail Fortitude Saves on a 1, and grab Eschew Materials so you can sell all your spell components. So if you want more Fortitude Saves, Draconic Incarnation, do this. If you want the Reflex Saves, Macrotech, those are your two options. It's the same amount of point spread, and it's basically the same stats, so you just have to decide which one to you is more valuable in the moment. Now, let's talk equipment for a moment. This character is fairly easy to build out. It's effectively 4-piece Winter, because you get extra hit points, which is nice. The Devil's Infernal Dance, which gives a whole bunch of damage from your melee stuff. And then after that, Gold Curse Dagger. Oh my goodness, it's the Gold Curse Dagger again showing up. That's right, this weapon is really crazy, so you want to have one. But fortunately for you, you're dual wielding. So you can use a regular Dino Bone, grab Brighthorn, which makes it so once a minute you gain 10 or 1,000 temporary hit points. So you have 10 temporary hit points out the wazoo. And then again, Gold Curse Dagger, Gold Curse Dagger, Gold Curse Dagger. It's very, very powerful, and it should be pretty easy. This gear set's fairly easy to farm, although I did put in the Direwolf Belt. I like the Direwolf Belt. It's a powerful item, but it can be kind of annoying to get because you have to get it from Fey Twisted chests, but it is also the best item for this slot. So I would highly recommend it. You should definitely seek it out because it's very, very good. But as I said, it is a Fey Twisted item. Until you get the Direwolf Belt, just use the Direbear Belt, which gives you no stats. You don't need any of them, but it will fill out that winter set until you get a Direwolf from farming Fey Twisted chests. And Fey Twisted chests are fairly easy to farm. There's a guide on how to do it on the DDO wiki, which should make it very easy. So your character, again, gets a lot of good physical breakdowns, Fortitude save, Reflex, Will saves, a lot of health, a lot of defense, that sort of thing. And then even magical, your character still has a reasonable amount of hit points, and then your spell power is over 500 on positive. So again, you have a lot of good stats there, generally good stats, even offensive breakdowns. You know, you've got 88 double strike all the time, just walking around 88 double strike. You have 115% offhand attack chance, which is just a hilarious number to think of. You got a good amount of fortification bypass, and your melee power is not amazing, but at the very least you're 2-weapon fighting, and you deal a good amount of damage. Now, that was going to be the end of it, and that was going to be my last build I was going to showcase and share with you. However, people ask me every time, Strimtom, what build are you going to play? And usually I play one of the builds in the list that I make. But this time, I'm playing something a little bit different. Not exactly one of the builds here. And the reason is because my build is pretty stupid, and I am stupid, and I'm going to be playing it. You see, because this hardcore season is going to be the easiest hardcore season literally ever made, my group and I, where we run from 1 to 20 live on my Twitch stream on the first day of hardcore, which if you've never seen before, you should check out at the very least on the first day of hardcore. We do a 1 to 20 on the first day. We don't stop playing the game until we hit 20. It's a good time. We do it every year, and we theme it as well. We were originally going to do all melees for this hardcore season. However, this is the easiest hardcore ever, gaining extra lives with no dangerous mechanics. So instead, we're pushing all melee to the next hardcore season. This hardcore season is everybody has to start with 6 Constitution, and so my character has 6 Constitution. You shouldn't do this, and if you wanted to emulate this build, take 2 points out of Intelligence and start with a 12 Constitution. Please, please, please don't start with a 6 Constitution. But that's what we're doing, and so we soldier on. So this is my character. I hit my head really hard because it's also an archer. I don't like playing archers. I don't know why I'm playing archer. I just, for some reason, the pieces put themselves together. The puzzle was solved. The Rubik's Cube in my mind suddenly showed nothing but dollar sign, dollar sign, dollar sign, and I knew it was time to go. So, what is it? Well, it's a wizard, kind of. You take wizard later, but instead you start with rogue and ranger. The reason you start with rogue and ranger is because, number one, this is a rogue, it's meant to be a trapper, so I can disable every trap in the game, so starting with rogue means I get more skills, and ranger, because ranger gives all of the ranged feats. Now, this might sound confusing because I have a 17 dexterity, so I can take all of the ranged feats. So, why would I take ranger to get all the ranged feats instead of going wizard? There's actually two reasons for this. The first reason is it saves me on feats, which is kind of nice. And the second reason is you don't just get ranged feats, you also get melee feats. You'll notice I took single weapon fighting and improved single weapon fighting. And that's because when you take any combat style feat, your character gains 25% of the hit points they would normally gain from their class, again, an extra 25%, for a total of 100% if you have 4 separate feats. So basically, if I had single weapon fighting, improved, greater, and perfect single weapon fighting, if I had all of those together, then I would have 100% increased hit points from my class, which just makes sense. It's meant to make it so melee characters get more health. But rangers get 2 weapon fighting at level 2 and improved at level 6. So that's 2 feats right there. That's a lot of health. However, I also get single weapon fighting and improved here. Now the reason why I can take this is because of kind of a glitch. Basically, single weapon fighting and 2 weapon fighting are anti-requisites. You can't have both of them. So if I had 2 weapon fighting, I can't take the feat single weapon fighting. However, if I already have single weapon fighting, well, the game just gives me 2 weapon fighting because I'm a ranger. So all of a sudden, now I have both of them, which is fantastic. And then taking improved single weapon fighting, well, the only anti-requisite is single weapon fighting, because I need to have single weapon fighting to have improved. So there is no anti-requisites, so I can take this as well. So as a result, by level 9, I have single weapon fighting, 2 weapon fighting, improved 2 weapon fighting, improved single weapon fighting, giving me 4 separate feats for a bunch of hit points. It's a lot of mental gymnastics, but that is the reason why I did that. The other reason why I go with Ranger first is because Wizard doesn't give anything until later, so there's no reason for me to be Wizard sooner. I want to be Wizard later. Getting all the high yield stuff, Arcane Archer, and all that. Picking up on all this good stuff. And then the rest of it's pretty straightforward, Archer stuff, so I just took Archer feats all the way down. Now notice my hit points are actually not terrible, it's at 1256, and that's because I did a lot of finagling to get this to work, so it is what it is. Now as far as the skills go, you're going to notice Disable Device, Search, and what have you. Pretty good, basic Archer stuff. But when we go to the spells, for Ranger, Ram's Might, as I said, amazing. I don't take Jump here because I take Jump at a Wizard, and I take just the defensive spells. That's pretty much it. I take Cyclonic Blast because it wipes away clouds, which you can also take Gust of Wind for, because again, it also wipes away clouds. My character won't have the caster levels for Break Enchantment to get rid of clouds, which is why I just use Gust of Wind. So, oh no, the monster drops Cloud Kill, Gust of Wind, the whole thing is gone. And then every defensive spell I can physically think of, but you'll notice there's also no negative spells in here. And that's because I'm not playing as a Palemaster on this build. When you're a Palemaster, you need to be able to heal yourself with negative power, and it's difficult for other people to heal you. Well, I don't have a great way to get other people to heal me, and I get my wizard stuff way later. So we're just going to go with positive healing on this character and not really worry about the negative things. Which also means I don't have to spend points in Palemaster, so I'm not gonna. So we have Arcane Archer here as the main tree. Even though we only have 6 levels of Wizard, that lets us take the entire tier 5, which is absolutely fantastic. Eldritch Knight is a clean second. You don't need to go tier 5 of Eldritch Knight, because this is melee, 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 melee. It's all melee stuff. However, the imbues that you get, getting the imbue here, as well as additional imbue dice from the core, and getting an extra imbue dice every 3 Wizard levels, all of that comes from Eldritch Knight. Additionally, 10 health, 20 health, 30 health, 40 health, 50 health from the tree is also pretty good, and a bunch of good defensive stuff. I get intelligence to hit out of Eldritch Accuracy, I get intelligence to damage from Strategic Combat, so I can use int to hit and damage with my bow. Important note, I do use Strategic Combat down here during the leveling process, and then later on I swap to this in Epics, or like basically once it gets to level 20, once it's done, I will swap to this tree, because I won't have the ability to do that during the process. I also go Assassin to get extra 3 imbue dice, and this matters a ton, because I get Assassin at level 8. So what this means, by level 8, my character will have, I believe it is 8 times 4 is 32 points to spend in the tree. Well, with 32 points, that means I can get 24 points into Arcane Archer. I only need 22 to get 2, 4, 6 imbue dice here. and then I can get an extra 3. So my character will have 9 imbue dice, or basically hitting targets for about 100 damage at extra acid per arrow at level 9, which is or level 8, which is massive. Monsters only have like 200 hit points at that point. So I'll be able to just 2-shot every single monster that comes through. I'll have many shot. It should be pretty okay, gaining more damage as I go up. And then Eldritch Knight will also kick in, giving me even more stats, which is nice on top of that. And that's basically it. Eldritch Knight for defense and imbue dice, Arcane Archer for even more imbue dice and other stuff, as well as Arrow of Slaying. I'll probably take Final Strike. I haven't decided yet, so I'm still trying to figure this out. So maybe I'll take Final Strike. I'm still kind of on the fence about that. It's good, and there's no cost to it, so I don't really have a reason why I wouldn't. I don't know. I haven't thought about it. And then, of course, Harp Rage and stuff is really good here. And then Assassin and all that kind of comes out. It makes sense once you see it. And then we go into the Epic Destinies. What's that? Macrotech. That's right. Shirati Champion is great. Hunt's End is fantastic, especially on a Ranger, so I'll be able to blast through monsters. But the thing is, even though Hunt's End is good, and I have a lot of good abilities, well, Macrotech is really nice. And the main reason is because it gives me both damage in the form of double shot and imbue dice, but also health. Precious health. Macrotech is a melee Epic Destiny, kind of. It's like a hybrid, so it gives hit points for the cores, and that 45 health actually means a whole lot when you start with a 6 Constitution, so I use that. Additionally, I also am going to be taking Radiant Prison, so when we fight monsters, say there's a Dangerous Reaper or something coming for me, or a Dangerous Champion, this is a no-save, monster's locked away for 8 seconds, and we don't have to deal with it, which is nice. You can kind of chain this if you have multiple people doing it. We're not going to need that, but this is just good for me as an oh shit button, so I will in fact be using this. And then last but not least, Shadow Dancer, because if you don't have Technician, you can't disable traps and epics and lit on Hardcore League. It is what it is. You need too many stats to disable traps. And so we got to do that, and then grabbing all the sneak attack dice is pretty good, as well as the improved evasion, which will be very, very nice. Now, technically, I won't need improved evasion when I'm done, but I have to take Shadow Dancer, so I might as well. It's pretty good for extra damage. And then as far as the equipment goes, this character is using a combination of Shadow's Emptiness for the double strike imbue dice universal spell power and magical resistance rating, as well as the legendary Dread Isle's Curse, because there's a lot of really good Isle of Dread items, which fit well with the build. Additionally, I use 2 pieces of Winter. I would love to fit more, but it's very hard, but 2 pieces at least gives me the physical resistance rating, which I like. Deep Snow Boots plus Winter Court Necklace, which is pretty nice. And then, of course, I have a bunch of filigrees here. I put these in specifically because these are what I'm going to try to look for, and I will be farming it out. Will I get there? I don't know. Nothing in my gear set is really difficult to come by. All these items are fairly standard, and they drop from a lot of regular places, so I'm not worried about picking up any of these. Yeah, it takes a while to farm out dino bones, but whatever. Like, just go out and put some TV on and then go farm dinosaurs. It's not a big deal. 170 feet PRR, not bad. 17 dodge. I wish it was higher, but it is what it is. My main worry right now is I don't have a great way to heal, and so I may consider changing up some of this stuff depending on how it goes. I have Healing Spring, but I only have 1 point spent in it, and I can't get any more Wild Empathy, so I might consider, since I believe I do have the Birchlore Gauntlets, I may end up making some adjustments here to change up into epics to grab like Renewal, or I'll just run Unyielding like all the time. Maybe if I can get my saves up, honestly, or my trapping skills up, I probably will just straight up run Unyielding instead of Shadow Dancer for more hit points and access to Renewal, which is insanely good for myself and others. So again, something to consider. I'm not 100% sure. I do get a lot of damage from Shadow Dancer, and I don't want to pass up on it because of the range power and the extra 6 sneak attack dice. It is quite good, but again, it's going to be a bit of a wait and see. Because as I said, my skills Disable Device 71 and Search 83, and then I do have a Trapping set as well, which then brings me up to 101 and 113. I'm still a little low. Now granted, this is before ship buffs, and this is, not without a bard or anything. If you have a bard in party, you don't have to worry about it as much, but then do you need the heals? And we'll see. So I'm still kind of going back and forth on that. Getting the Trapping skills is important to me. I don't want to blow them up, but yeah. 6 Constitution, and a Wizard, and a bow build. Oh boy, it's going to be a fun one on the old Hardcore League. But anyways, that's pretty much it. That's all the characters that I have for this season. So good luck to all of you. I hope you do well. If you need people to play with, feel free to join my Discord below. There'll be lots of other people looking for builds and groups and other stuff to try to find other people to be able to play with this Hardcore League. If you want to find out what the guild is going to be, because I do run a guild with full ship buffs, that's the reason for the 1 to 20, why we run 1 to 20 on the first day, is so that we can get a ship all the way up to the level cap. We want to make sure that there is a ship leveled as quickly as possible. We get all the amenities for it. We pay all the platinum. I don't charge anybody in the guild I get me and my crew, we get to 20, we farm out platinum, and we pay for everything. We get the saga bonuses, we do all that. So you can just join and have a good time. If you want information on how to join my guild, you'll find it in the Discord or on my live stream on the day of. I don't post it directly here on YouTube, not because I don't want YouTube people to join, but because I, make most of my money on Twitch and I want to drive engagement. And so it's really good for me. So if you wanted to check that out, even if it's just like coming into the chat and being like, what is guild, please? That's also perfectly fine. Or joining my Discord and checking that out. But anyways, that's all I have. Good luck to you on hardcore. I hope every single person out there is successful. I know most of you won't be because, that's what has the big ticker messages going across the screen, dying all the time. Who knows? Maybe I'll die on the first day. I only have 6 cons, so it's more than likely I will die on the first day, but we'll see. We'll see. Thank you for watching, and have a great night.